We're still working with very little equipment, and we're still outside of an office or any viable location for consistent recording. And we're still practicing and learning, but bear with us if you would, please. And I think some of the information is actually worthwhile. Today I want to talk about the importance of decentralized organizational structures and allowing things and encouraging things to be developed at the local and community level. The need for a decentralized foundation operation in terms of addressing social, economic, and environmental challenges arises from the recognition that the needs and conditions of the individual, the family, and the communities are all unique and multifaceted and incapable of being addressed adequately through the introduction of a singular or the typical blanket solutions often introduced by governments or localized social assistance programs. From cultural and historical beliefs to geographical variations such as changes in elevation, each location presents its own set of circumstances that require tailored solutions. Unique solutions, adaptive solutions, often integrated solutions in order to be able to address the symptoms in addition to the root causes simultaneously. So attempting to address these complex issues through a centralized power structure will often fail to see or will blatantly overlook any of the nuances and intricacies of the local communities and the local context, hindering the effectiveness of the intervention and perpetuating systemic challenges. Oftentimes, these programs will even further exacerbate the underlying issues for the beneficiaries or the recipients of the programs. And at the end of the day, it proves to be more detrimental than it is beneficial. Cultural and historical beliefs play a significant role in shaping the social fabric of communities also, especially when you're working extensively with the indigenous peoples like we are. Their practices, traditions, and values that are passed down through generational influence often determine how the individuals interact with their environment and even engaging in economic activities at the local level. The local societal structure is going to be unique to that environment. Any attempt to impose standardized solutions from some distant centralized authority disregards the local cultural and environmental nuances and will often lead to resistance or other unintended consequences. Through the introduction of the decentralized approach, on the other hand, our foundation allows for the incorporation of the local knowledge and cultural insights into the decision-making processes. In this way, we can foster community development, family development, at the same time strengthening the individual and focusing on more systemically sustainable solutions. Again, back to the distant despots. They don't work. The people that are far away, the farther away the governance is from the people, the less efficient it becomes, the less accountable it is to the people. The organizational structure of the Philippine government is such that there is a sufficient amount of power and authority at the local government unit that we can introduce these changes while at the same time allowing for each local government unit to be at least semi-autonomous in nature and to establish programs specifically for the local community. The overall feel and sentiment is going to be unique in pick a place. East Los Angeles is going to be substantially different than Harlem. Greeley, Colorado, Naga City in the Philippines. Every place is going to be unique. Add in the cultural and historical differences and add in the environmental differences, and all of the solutions need to be adaptive. While they do have to integrate multiple solutions, multiple responses, they also need to be sufficiently adaptive in nature, and the decentralized nature allows for more command and control at the local level, as it were. Destroying the local culture is never a viable solution. With the rare exception, if the prevailing culture may be one of pure evil, but how often does that happen? The geographical variations further emphasize the need to decentralize our operations. Even minor changes in elevation can have profound effects on climate, soil fertility, and even water availability, food security, agricultural practices, infrastructural needs, and even determining the vulnerability of the local population to natural disasters, which will vary depending on the location, and for which we again do have patented construction technologies that we can introduce, but not until we get the program sufficiently operational. The problem with the centralized decision making often fails to take into account many of these localized factors, resulting in inefficient and lackluster resource allocation, often sidetracked further by corruption. There's generally an inadequate response to most of the challenges, and a lot of that's just government inefficiency. A lot of that is lack of proper funding, sufficient funding. A lot of that is a lack of introduction at the local and community level. So again, with the decentralized nature of our operations, we'll be able to authorize the local communities, the local rural development centers, the local social services support teams, to make to enjoy at least a limited amount of autonomy, semi-autonomy, and to exercise authority in conjunction with the desires and needs of the local beneficiaries. This will enable the local government units and the local rural development centers to make more informed and to more informed decisions, and to provide more context-specific solutions that address the unique needs of each local community, even down to the family level. So again, with the power structure set up as it is in the Philippine government, and the representatives from the Department of Social Welfare and Development being available at every barangay hall and working in conjunction with the homeless and the indigent, everything is already in place to make this happen. So it's uniquely and ideally suited to the operations that we're undertaking. With the decentralized, or with the centralized authority, and you've got, again, back to the distant despots, when the decision makers are located far off, it's impossible for them to know every nuance and subtle variation at the local level for every local community. It's just not possible. With the decentralized system, we've got local leaders that understand the local situation, and everything is coordinated at the national level. Everything is coordinated to the extent that we can provide the ability for the communities to work together, and where one community is strong, we can offer assistance to another community that has weaknesses in that areas. And the centralized authority, as it were, is only to coordinate the efforts of the individual rural development centers and community developments. So ideally, the farther away the governance becomes, the less intrusive it should be, the less powerful it should be. The more localized, the more centralized or decentralized the government structure, the more accountable it is to the people. Once it's established at the local level, the local people can, literally raise up the pitchforks and torches if they have to. We're not recommending that, of course, especially not here because everything is so uniquely structured to benefit. But the farther away the government gets, the more distant the despot, the harder they are to reach, and the more out of touch they are with the people. Poverty is in itself a complex and multifaceted issue with roots in social, economic, and environmental factors. And by empowering the local communities, local individuals, local family units to take control and to address the underlying causes of poverty and the indigent nature of the local community within their local context, the decentralized approaches enable a more targeted intervention that addresses the specific needs and helps to build local community structure, community resilience, and benefits both the people and the community and ultimately even the state. The need for a decentralized system it stems from the recognition that the local government is always going to have a better idea of what's going on at the local level. The local people are going to know what's going on in their own community more than they are about the community even next door, never mind across the nation or across the world. So while it is important to have a coordinating body at a centralized location to aid and assist in the coordination between the individual centers, it is equally imperative that each individual rural development center, each community development, be at least semi-autonomous in nature and able to run things on a more decentralized, localized level in order to provide long-term, viable, sustainable development programs. So if you'd like to know more, please let us know. Thank you. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment below.